XLG's first opponent at Master Santiago is NRG, the reigning champions, playing a complete off-meta style almost no one else's and somehow still winning with it. Today, we're breaking down their compositions and macro decision making, and more importantly, how they're actively defying the norm to catch teams off guard. Out of the 12 teams at Master Santiago, NRG is the only team consistently running solo duelists in their comps. On top of that, they heavily favor Tejo, pulling it out in 3 out of the 5 maps in the lower final against MIBR. And notably, they don't play Yoru at all, except on Breeze, despite Yoru being one of the highest value agents in the current meta, and yet they still qualified as the 3rd seed. So how did the team disregard the trending meta so much and still win? The answer is an unexpected tempo and mostly Ethan's world-class start round reads and mid-round adjustments. When I was looking at NRG's tempo stats, something jumped out immediately, more than any other team I've analyzed. NRG has a very clear and systematic execute timing windows. Almost everything clusters around 2 moments, at 25 seconds or 80 seconds. So what this tells us is that NRG operates in 2 distinct modes, so start round pressure and rushes, or slightly slower defaults. If we compare that to FURIA, the 1st seed from Americas, whose execute timings are far more irregular, and they're spread across almost every time frame, making them a lot harder to read. NRG instead leans into a more predictable execute window, but the important part is Ethan knowing the best side to hit via the most optimal course of action. Another stat reinforces this even more. NRG places heavy emphasis on first bloods within the first 15 to 20 seconds on attack. They frequently find the highest probable start round map control area for duels, setting Mata up with initiator utility early, or having heavy success in their set rush strategies, providing first blood also. Compare that to G2, where pre-plant kills are more evenly distributed, showing less emphasis on instant first picks, but more on later timing windows, such as solo or team reclose, and start round passiveness, and a lot of times just holding. This difference becomes critical once we look at Split. So Split is the map that allowed NRG to begin the reverse sweep on MIBR in the lower final. This is where their composition choices start forcing very specific behaviors from the opponent. With the comps NRG chooses, they're almost forced to play reactively on defense. They lack long duration teleport agents like Yoru, Chamber, or Vito, which makes timing based and start round first bloods extremely difficult without a lot of utility committed into a potential 0-man area. So instead there is heavy emphasis on reclears with double drone, enabling 0 risk information gathering, which means consistently trying to stay 1 step ahead in the information game, using utility instead of bodies. Rather than fast floods with double duelists, trading on site, and emphasis on first bloods, their defense revolves around stall for slower rotates, layered utility enabling disruptiveness on the site itself, and making executes very uncomfortable for the attackers. But on attack, it's almost a completely different combo identity. So on attack, NRG consistently uses utility to enable early first bloods in the first 15 to 20 seconds, exactly like the stats suggested. So what truly allowed NRG to succeed on Split was the elite start round reads from the IGL, constantly pressuring the exact right area. And this is what separates their double initiator setups from everyone else. They pair Waylay, Sky, and Tejo, enabling extremely fast pacing while minimizing exposed angles. The closest alternative in the current meta would be Neon Waylay Sky, which trades even faster speed for the loss of Tejo anti-flood support. Everything else is protocol-driven group play. So look at all these rounds where NRG are able to successfully predict and punish MIBR via start round aggression. This round specifically is a great example. So start round, the Sky would flash vent, and after that they'll confirm the info that someone's there. Tejo would then ult vents, whilst Waylay flies in and holds the heaven smoke. Most teams fail here because they either play too contact heavy with double initiator and try to save all their util for site XCs, or become overly risk averse, defaulting extremely slow with their large amounts of util. NRG finds a good median as their playstyle, but the only downside being there is worse spacing as there's only 1 duelist going in to capitalize. At 11 to 10, NRG pulls off an insane 4v5 conversion, entirely off Ethan's call and Scuba's discipline. Most teams down a player, they immediately try to either equalize with kills or regain the map space slowly. So Scuba does regain the map space by walking up A, but here's a key difference. Nearly every single team will just rotate back to A, knowing it's fully open for that free bomb plant, but that still is not fully favorable yet as it's a 4v5 post plant. So let's rewind back and see how it unfolds. You can see at 1 minute 10 seconds, Ethan realizes that statistically a straight A hit still loses them the round. So with time on their side, they add that extra layer in and call the main pack to stay at B. So this means that Kiko actively continues to contact with the AWP, knowing MIBR doesn't have one, therefore getting the kill, and Brock droning keeps MIBR honest at B, and at the same time, all of this together threatens the A rotations, allowing Scuba to catch another. Then suddenly, it's back to a 4v3, and the final touch is when Scuba rotates back to A main, removing unnecessary risk by staying CT, and helping the team reclear A main once again and killing Mazina. Finally, to mention, all rounds like these are a lot harder to play out if you only have one initiator due to limited util for keeping them honest in an area, as most times if you pressure with double duelists, they will need to commit in for it to be believable. For example, if NRG had double duelists and Mada dies start round, if they want to commit fakes, the second duelist must go in for it to be believable. At 12 to 10, Ethan knows MIBR is on bad guns and must force a play to win, so NRG does the exact opposite. They play slow and wait for start round aggression. When confirmed there is none, now with double initiator they can afford to fake, because realistically you only need one or even no drone to enter sight, as waylay dashes acts as a drone regardless. So they send the sky dog up ramp as bait. NRG doesn't follow it up at all, and that's a tell for MIBR. So MIBR now believes A is a fake, especially with Verno holding a very deep line. Now NRG adds the second layer. They do a star take back at B main, which fakes them contacting across towards the B boxes, triggering MIBR to fully commit and try to force a play. So Aspas raise ults, believing NRG is now grouped B because of a deep A line, and once B is confirmed fake, Verno then panics, trying to back off A, and this is when he gets caught by that timing by Sky and Viper, and therefore the round is now over. For XLG, this matchup comes down to exploiting two things. First of all is a solo duelist defense with no Euro, meaning there's lower early threat. Secondly, there's less emphasis on first bloods defensively, and more on sight holes with double smoke and double initiator. That means XLG can do slower rounds with defaults to take a map control on attack, after controlling, stay for a while longer and break the initiator reclose, and finally do fakes after drones and dogs are expended, as they are less likely to push for info, and initially they're just less inclined to fight in the first areas of contention anyways. And on defense, XLG must stay hyper aware of NRG's two distinct execute timing windows and their consistent effort to set Mada up for early first bloods. So we find ways to dodge the initiator utility and sneak out for a kill on their solo duelists, as trades are on paper harder for them due to spacing. If you found today's episode useful, don't forget to subscribe. I'll be uploading weekly.